Hello. Hello, and welcome to the Veloso Tours webinar on Argentina with live reports from our guides. In Argentina, it's a nice spring day. It's sunny, but it's also a bank holiday in Argentina. So a lot of people have actually gone to the beach, but our guides are there to show us Argentina. My name is Paulo. I'm the managing director of Veloso Tours, and Nick and I are going to take you on a tour to show you as it is now. The content of the webinar today is going to be a little introduction on Veloso Tours, and then live reports from Salta, from Buenos Aires, Mendoza, Bariloche. Then I will talk about the Perito Moreno glacier in Calafate and the cruises from Ushuaia. And then we'll go to Iguazu. And at the end, we will have some examples of how you can put all these destinations together with the Veloso Tours itineraries. If you have any questions, please send use the chat on Zoom and send a message to Berenice. We'll collate all the questions at the end, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have. Veloso Tours has been operating for a long time, and we know Latin America very well for over 20 years. I mean, 20 years of Veloso Tours, but maybe 30 years of travel in Latin America and in Argentina. So we love these destinations and love Argentina. Our ethos is to provide authentic experiences of each destination so that when you travel, you can have an in-depth perspective of life and customs and activities in Argentina. And we base that on your own personal interests. So when you book, we send you a questionnaire to express your preferences and anything that you may have a special interest, and then we pass that to the guides so that you can adapt the excursion. So it's personalized to that extent, so that you can adapt the excursions to fit your any particular interest that you may have. Now, the good news we had yesterday was that travel is restarting, and most of the countries are open. Argentina is open for travel. So the only thing to add here is that there are a number of travel insurances that cover COVID, so that if anything happened, then you have your travel insurance, and you can go in and out now of Argentina. So that's the restart of travel again. For the future of Veloso Tours, we have a new brochure on Latin America, which if you haven't received yet, it would be good to send you. It's available on our website with PDF downloads, and it's also available in print, so we'll be happy to send you a copy. We have also been working on the itinerary downloads so that all the examples of itineraries on the website are available to download with the start date and a day-by-day summary, so that you can see where you would be each day, which is a very good way for you to experiment and see how long you'd be in each place and when you would come back. And then we can always adapt these excursions and the itineraries that you have on the website. You contact us and we do a bespoke itinerary, and we send you a more detailed option for you to consider. And these are available for all the destinations: Latin America, China, and India. The fascinating part of Argentina is the different regions, the people, and the let's say it's quite European, but it's not, and it's very special in its own way, in its own personality. And we have here a variety of regions that we will see, starting in Salta in the north, which has a very strong influence from Bolivia and the culture there. And then Buenos Aires, which is very European, as I mentioned, and it's considered the Paris of South America, right down through to the Lake District and to the glaciers in the south. I wanted to ask you just a couple of things that are important: to use the speaker view on Zoom, so that Zoom will change to each person as they are speaking, and also to be a bit patient if there are any technical issues with connections or communication, because this technology of Zoom is wonderful, but we're pushing it to the limit, connecting to each destination. It has worked many times in the past, and I'm sure we can overcome any difficulty, but may require a bit of patience. So now Buenos Aires is where you normally arrive, and we're going to start with Buenos Aires, and I would ask my colleague Nick to take us on a tour of Argentina and a tour of Buenos Aires. So Nick, if you'd like to start with Buenos Aires.
Yep. Thanks, Paolo. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take you on a tour around Argentina, sort of virtually, as it were. We're going to start with Buenos Aires because it is the sort of generally the starting point for many tours of Argentina. It's your often your arrival point. It's got the main international airport. So we're flying into Buenos Aires and arriving here. I'm just going to ask Paolo if I can share the screen so that we can continue with the slideshow. Yes, that seems to be working. So Buenos Aires, as you can see here, sort of in the middle of Argentina, on the Atlantic side, on the shore of the River Plate, about halfway up the country. So in very much the sort of temperate zone. It's quite a temperate city, sort of warm winters, warm summers there, which is our winter, and relatively cold summers. And as Paolo said, it's known as the Paris of South America. It's a very sophisticated, very European style city because of its history as quite a wealthy city, which has somewhat fallen by the wayside now, but we still see a lot of vestiges of this in wonderful architecture, lots of impressive statuary. Here you can see the enormous obelisk that is in the middle of one of the main avenues in the city. Lots of wonderful interiors to sort of grand buildings, like this one on the left, where you can see a choir assembling. And in fact, the picture on the right there, this is the interior of one of the larger shopping malls in the central shopping area of Buenos Aires. So you can see a very sort of sophisticated and European culture with a great focus on the arts and classical design, if you like. Not only in the city centre, but also in some of the more residential neighbourhoods. This is Recoleta, for example, which is really the sort of Knightsbridge, South Kensington of Buenos Aires, where you find, again, very sort of Parisian style, almost turn of the century style architecture, wonderful statues and monuments throughout. And it is a residential area, so lots of people live there, and you find well-heeled people walking along, perusing the upmarket shops and excellent restaurants around there as well. There are also green spaces, so this is the Recoleta Park, and you can see the chapel at the end there, which is on the edge of the famous Recoleta Cemetery, where again you have very European style sort of mausoleums, monuments to the sort of grand old families of Buenos Aires. Again, another testament to the history and sort of lineage of old Argentine families. Green spaces, as I said, you have these wonderful parks. Here you can see the beautiful jacaranda flowers coming out on the jacaranda trees, which happens around November every year in their spring, so it'll be happening shortly. Springtime just starting now in Argentina. But there are many more green spaces. So a little bit further from the city centre, you've got the area of Palermo, and there's a lovely large park there as well. And this is a rose garden, quite extensive rose garden that you can find there. Wonderful to walk around and almost feel like you're getting out of the city, because it is a very big and bustling city with lots going on. And if you want to get away from that for a little while, have maybe slightly a breath of slightly fresher air, then it's very easy to get away and enjoy some of the green spaces and gardens. Palermo itself is another residential area. This one much lower rise in terms of its building, tend to be no more than a few stories high, the buildings around here. Lots of cobblestone streets, cafes and bars. It's a real hub of art and fashion, Palermo, so you'll find lots of fashionable boutiques, restaurants as well. It tends to have the more modern and cutting edge restaurants there, and it's also where you'll find some of the more modern and artistically themed boutique hotels, if that's your preference. It's certainly a wonderful place to stay. Here's another example of the wonderful cobblestone streets. You see people cycling around quite often, so a nice sort of calmer pace of life, if you like, than the much busier downtown of Buenos Aires. And even if you don't stay there, a wonderful place to visit on a day trip. Further to the south of the city centre, you have the district known as La Boca, which was traditionally the home of the dock workers, much more sort of working class atmosphere, a little bit more rough and ready there, but it's very well known for its buildings, which are painted in all sorts of different riotous colours, as you can see here. And the history behind this is that dock workers who would be painting ships would just take whatever paint was left over from the work that they were doing and take it away to paint their houses. And so that's why you see a great riot and variety of colours. Another good example in this picture here, very colourful neighbourhood. And now it's become a little bit more touristy, so you'll find lots of cafes and bars there, boutiques selling handicrafts and mementos of Buenos Aires, and also not uncommon to see couples dancing tango on the street there for tourists to stand and watch. All around the city, though, you do see, again, lots of the history of Buenos Aires, lots of old bars and cafes like this one, what they call the bares notables, and note here the date on the door, 1900. It's been open for 100 years now, and this is a lovely place to maybe stop and have a sort of snacky lunch, nothing too fancy in the food that they serve, but nice wines and beers and coffees as well. And the interiors, as you can see here, again, quite European style in its wood paneling and the art on the walls and kind of statues and light fittings and things like that. So very characterful, a lot of the things that you'll find in Buenos Aires. Of course, who could go to Buenos Aires without at least sampling something of the tango, the famous dance that calls its home Buenos Aires. And there are many ways that you can experience the tango, whether it's seeing a couple dancing on the street or going to a stage show like this one. There are many excellent stage shows, some of which include a dinner, for example. So you would watch dinner, and just as you're eating, you'll see an incredible show in front of you. And there are also some that are more smaller and more intimate, like this one, which is also, if anything, more of a nightclub feel. You would just sit and have a drink at a small table while you watch the couples on a smaller stage in front of you. It's also possible to go to a real tango party, if you like, where you see real people dancing. It's a social dance, the tango. And if you'd like to take a lesson as well and perhaps learn your first few steps, then that's also something that can be arranged. Polo is another great pastime of Argentina. There's a lot of fans, which attests to the fact that it's a very sort of agrarian and farming culture in the whole of Argentina. This is the Palermo Polo Field, and you can see that it's very close to the city centre with the skyline behind, and it's not uncommon to find matches or tournaments here. So if that's of interest or something that you would like to experience during your time in Buenos Aires, then please let us know, because we can include that for you. That's certainly something that I very much enjoyed. I took this picture actually during the World Cup of polo several years ago. Getting away from the city, though, within driving distance, you have a number of estancias, which are these sort of historical ranches or farms, typically sort of ranching cattle. And a number of these have been turned into hotels or places for day trips with lovely restaurants and good facilities. So you might go on a day trip, for example, have an excellent barbecue lunch with the excellent steak and red wine that is famous in Argentina, perhaps use the pool or take a little horse ride if you like, and then come back to the city in the evening. Or alternatively, a number of them have accommodation as well, where you could stay for a night or several to experience the sort of the wide open space that is the Argentine Pampa. Further, a little further away, across the River Plate, this time in Uruguay, you've got the small historical town of Colonia, which was a Portuguese outpost, hundreds of years old now. And it's very characterful there, again, with cobblestone streets, as you can see on the right-hand side, very famous little sort of broken down car that's almost been turned into a sort of flower pot, has plants growing in it, and there are lovely sort of roadside and square side restaurants and cafes where you can sit and have a drink or something to eat. Just stroll around, very easy to walk. You know, everything's within walking distance in Colonia. And you travel there by ferry. It only takes about an hour from Buenos Aires, the crossing, so it makes a lovely day trip as well. There are a great number of excellent hotels in Buenos Aires. I'm going to mention just a couple here. First of all, the Lowy Suites Recoleta, which is very well located in the upmarket area of Recoleta that I was talking about. It's got an excellent little pool, very good standard of accommodation, comfortable rooms, and here you can see the sort of winter garden where they serve breakfast every morning. So very good facilities there and well located. More at the upper end of the scale, there is an excellent Four Seasons in Buenos Aires. Here you can see the swimming pool at the back. This is actually the second building of it, which is an old palace. I believe it was the French embassy for a long time. The main part of the hotel is a slightly larger block, so it's got a good number of rooms with wonderful views out over the city. Of course, very high standard of accommodation, as you would expect from a Four Seasons, and an excellent restaurant there as well. Now we're going to go live to our guide in Buenos Aires, Laura, who's going to show us a little bit of what local life is like there in one of the areas of Buenos Aires, one of the most characterful areas. Hello, Laura.
Hi, hello. How are you doing? Hi, Nick.
Hello, we
Hello,
can see
very
you.
welcome to Buenos Aires. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm very pleased to welcome you and everybody to the city of Buenos Aires. Here we are in San Telmo, very close to May Square, very close to Puerto Madero and the oldest and traditional area. Let me turn the camera so you can see a bit of the place where I am. So we got a lovely spring day. It's windy, so the clouds are going and coming. And we are in front of the oldest market of San Telmo. So I'm going to take you a bit around the area. San Telmo take part of different itineraries, like the city tour. Like we work with Veloso philosophy, we make private city tours. It can be stopped during the city tour, or it can be a tour to see the graffiti and the new art. But also it is included in the tango area. We said that the tango got born in this area, and also we've got now the area. I know it's kind of a place very peaceful today, but because it's a long weekend, everybody in the city of Buenos Aires is driving to the beach. We want to enjoy the weekend out, and the locals that are staying here, they're taking an easy day, so they are going to be ready here for a cafe in the afternoon. So we are going to walk a bit in the district. I want to show you the market inside. It's a perfect place for everybody to go shopping, to find something you like it, to eat, obviously. Have a look to the special architecture here, how it changed into new graffiti and old style. So we are going around the market, getting into the market. Let me show you La Brigada, which is one of the best stay houses here in San Telmo, and of course, the cobblestone. We are here in front of one of the many different small shops for you to buy and enjoy the Argentine wine. I don't know if you have heard, this is connected with wine and tango, of course, but I don't know if you have heard of the Argentinian Malbec, which is one of the best in the world. So is our steak. Here we got La Brigada, one of the best steak, quite interesting restaurants in the city for you to enjoy. People now, after the pandemic, we are getting out again, so people enjoyed and like better the terraces and the outside life. So that's also what we have. Now we are walking inside the market. It's a market from 1890, very old, but it's changing all the time. So we are in San Telmo, the heart of the city. You can buy antiques. You can enjoy mate. Of course, see a bit of the history with the tango, with the Vita and Peron, with everywhere, a bit of leather. So see, some of the people started to wake out and go out, but for us, it's a day to relax. Stones, you can have here the typical Argentine pink stone, and also all kind of stuff, which is in this crazy market that you find things that you weren't looking for. We are getting ready to the heart of the market, where is all the food. So everybody's working, antiques. Now you see people is ready. Well, we are kind of a late start, so many people is having breakfast or enjoying already the steaks. I show you the grill over there. And this is more or less the weekend in Buenos Aires for us to show you the city. People can, your clients can come here alone and they don't need to make a reservation. They can have a bit of wine in one corner or enjoy the delicious choripan, which is a typical sandwich here in the country, a sausage sandwich. But in the same market, you can buy fruit, vegetables, or see all the locals are buying meat here in the butcher. For the ones that are very fond of Coffee Town got one of the best cafes in the city to relax, to sit in the middle and see the people going and coming. Traditional new restaurants, all inside the same spot. All inside this very old market that it's changing every minute. You got a bit of history, and maybe you have heard about the little lady Mafalda. The monument is in San Telmo, and you got to read some of the stories that it's shared for everybody to know Mafalda. And maybe you have heard about Argentines that are kind of sweet tooth. We eat a lot of sweet stuff. So we are going to see a French bakery. Here we are a very European city, so you can have possibility to eat from the best Italian pasta to the delicious French restaurants. And see how life is getting back to normal. Everybody waiting, everybody looking for something to eat. Beautiful flowers because spring is in the air. Let me show you. We got the other butcher shop. People waiting for the shop. It's a normal part of the neighborhood. And we have the traditional empanadas. If you are in Buenos Aires, you must have one of those. These typical pies here. I show you how they are preparing it. You can have it baked or fry it. And we keep going into this lovely market, which is a paradise for the people that want to enjoy delicious meat. Also, we got the dulce de leche, which is a caramel that we add to everything. New shops, so you can eat and have something to buy around. Chocolates. See the architecture and how this area is totally alive. So we are back almost into the normal life. Being in Buenos Aires, San Telmo can be a stop, as I told you, in a city tour, or you take part of many different districts. The city is very big. You need to have the possibility to do a tour and have a bit of free time to come back and enjoy it. Something like that. Our delicious ice cream, or as I told you, the caramel, dulce de leche. Yes, we got a full store of different flavors of dulce de leche. More empanadas, art. This is also the district of the art. And we are exiting the market through Defense Street. We are 700 meters far from May Square, the place where the city was founded. Have a look back into the blue sky. And we got antiques shops all around. You can stay in Buenos Aires, visiting the different tours and show your free time. And also, like Nick told you, you can go out and do some days tours to see the gaucho life of the Delta. And you can go and check Colonia, which is in Uruguay, a neighbor city that look more similar to this one. It's a twin city. Have a look, the terraces. So it's a very lovely day. Remember, not a lot of traffic because everybody is on vacation. And it is very important for you to know that you have to book your activities, you have to decide what you want to do, and then save some free time for getting lost in the streets. To strolling around, and if you like antiques, this is the place to get lost. Have a look at all the antique shops. We got also leather shops, furniture. And I'm going to show you another gallery, which is very unique because it's a very old construction, but it has changed a lot. Have you heard about the country? Our name is Argentina. It came from silver, from Argentum. So here we are in front of Polaroid's shop, which is one of the best silver mints in the city. We are getting close to the Rego Square, which is the heart of the neighborhood. Yes, another dulce de leche shop, or caramel shop. We got a blue sky. We are getting inside a very old gallery. And I want to show you how were the traditional houses and how do they change. This is the perfect postcard that everybody wants. The photo with the colorful umbrellas and the amazing flowers. We are in spring, the weather is nice. What you want to take from here is good memories, buy a magic container, maybe leather stuff. But everybody is queuing for the photo here with the blue sky and the umbrellas. It is like a secret paradise in the city. So we are in Doreo Square in the Solaro French Gallery. Have a look here, the old construction. It's the place where the tango got born. So every Sunday in here, we got the antique market. Now we are getting in the Rego Square. That remember, every Sunday, you will have only antiques. Some of the shops are still getting to open because San Telmo is a neighborhood that wake up late. We are at the market. Today it's a long weekend, so it's a holiday. So for that reason, we have every holiday and the weekend, a handicraft market. They are ready, waiting for tourists. Now we are having people coming from the rest of the country to visit the city, and pretty soon we are having you around. So have a look at the wonderful trees. This is a square where you can easily sit, relax, and enjoy a drink. Or also you can go and look for a traditional cafe. We got plenty of restaurants. You can sit for a delicious steak. Have a look at the sky, the old lanterns. This is the old traditional square where San Telmo is beating all the time and receiving people. See, the tango dancers are getting ready. Yes, they're waiting for you. They're waiting for all the tourists to come. This is a little stage at the Rego Square where every day you'll see them dancing and invite you in the wonderful atmosphere of a very European style city. From here, you can see the towers of the church and the heart of the San Telmo neighborhood. So you need to have time to enjoy the city, to get around, to get lost. Okay, so we got the sun shining, we got, and this is from Buenos Aires. Life is, thanks a lot, Nick. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Laura. Great to see everyone on there in San Telmo. The market has changed so much since I was last there. I would love to be able to go there. Last time I was there, it was really just sort of almost a flea market, just small antique shops selling bric-a-brac and things like that. So the city's developing and finding a new voice now. We're going to move on to the next destination in our tour of Argentina. Share my screen here. And start the show again. So our next destination in our tour of Argentina is the surrounding region. Salta, as you can see on this map, is in the north. We're close to the borders with Bolivia and Chile, and as you can see, a slightly more zoomed in map, we're talking not only about the city of Salta, but surrounding area, because there's such a huge variety of places to visit here, to explore. Not only have you got cities, but small towns, wine producing regions, national parks, and a whole lot of desert which surrounds it. See in a moment. Salta itself, relatively small but very striking city, beautiful colonial architecture, which is something that you don't a lot of in the rest of Argentina. Here you can see the striking main cathedral on the main square of Salta. It's a city of plazas and parks, quite a lot of greenery around, although the whole surrounding area, Salta is also happens to have a small sort of green microclimate, green city, despite being hot and sunny for quite a lot of the year. Side of Salta, wow, you get into this incredible landscape of incredibly dramatic landscape of not only mountains. You can see in the rock formations here. This is on the way to the south of, and it goes through this incredibly striking valley of here. And what you would do is stop in the vehicle on the way and get out and walk around through these canyons, for example. You can see here from the size of the enormous these canyons and sort of rock formations are. And here to the north of Salta, this is up into what's called the, which again, slightly different color, different rock formations, but still very striking, impressive mountains, a little bit of greenery running through it where this small river, wonderful big sky, blue skies quite a lot of the year, and villages along the way. So this, for example, is the small town of Purmamar. As you can see, it's mostly just sort of one-story buildings. Sort of hundreds of years ago when the first settlers arrived here. The style is more closely related with what you might find in Bolivia and Chile and Peru than the rest of Argentina. So you do get an enormous variety. Then in the larger town of Humahuaca, which is also on the road north towards the border, you get this architecture of the desert, sort of whitewashed and stony architecture here on the clock tower, for example, and more Spanish colonial style architecture in some of the public buildings. Also around, as I mentioned, the mountains, you can go up and over the mountains, incredibly scenic roads, up this incredibly steep along the switchbacks with incredible views over the valley, all the way up. These small bus passing there, so you can see just the landscape. Coming up and over these mountains, you can reach the salt over 4,000 meters above sea level, so it's a high desert as well. And the salt flats that you can find in Chile and Bolivia, there's really almost no one here once or whatever, but very few people actually there. So an incredible opportunity to isolation and enormous scale of the desert geological formation, the salt flat, literally a salt crust left by after the mountains lifted it up out of the water. In its surrounding area, you have a great love of their traditions, and quite different from the rest of Argentina. It's a very sort of traditionally sort of farming society, and these wonderful sort of traditional dances where gentlemen would wear their clothes and ladies these wonderful frilly dresses, and they sort of twirl around the traditional music of the area. And this is at a restaurant that also happens to have a stage show, a lovely meal. Salta is also known for its distinctive, something to take the benefit of when you visit there. Enjoy the sort of Argentine country music, very sort of raucous and with enthusiasm there, and watch the dancing, which is a wonderful night out. Within Salta, there are some excellent hotels. So the Legado Mitico is one of wonderful boutique hotels, wonderful characterful style, as you in the bedrooms, more of a sort of homely style rather than a large hotel with sort of a dozen rooms. Another outpost in Buenos Aires as well, if you particularly like this style. The city of Salta, there's an excellent estancia style hotel. It's not estancia anymore, though I believe they do still keep horses. It's called the House of Jasmines, outside of the city centre, but as you can see here, it's got a lovely little swimming pool for taking a little refreshing dip in the afternoon, surrounded by fields with views to, and the majority of the accommodation is in little sort of bungalow style buildings. This wonderful, very classy but characterful and then there's an excellent restaurant there as well. House of Jasmines is part of the Relais Chateau networks. Be guaranteed service as well. We're going to go live now to Federico, who's our local guide in Salta, show us what local life is like there and what's happening on the street today. Hello. Federico, come in. Do we have Federico?
Yeah, we do have him, but he's on mute. Federico, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, are you sorry?
Here we go. We can hear you now.
Federico might be struggling with his connection at the moment. I'm hoping. Hello, Federico. Hello, Federico. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Hello. Oh,
Can you hear us?
can you see me? A minute, because I have a problem with the camera.
If you just bear with us a moment while we try and get this sorted out. We'd love on the street in Salta. This did work in rehearsal.
Hello.
Can't see you. It sounds like this isn't working. We're going to try.
There he is. It was working earlier.
Go ahead.
It was a beautiful sunny
You
day.
hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and we.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you, but then.
It's not such a good connection, but we can see, and it's breaking up. Before it was working perfectly. So now.
Hello, 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 hello.
The image is frozen.
Federico, can I ask
Yes.
you? Can I ask, maybe disconnect and reconnect? We'll
Okay,
come back to you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Federico can reconnect shortly. Maybe worth mentioning, if I go back to the map here, just while we wait for Federico. So I mentioned before that there is a wine. This is around the town of Calafate. And so people in wine, you can go and visit a winery here and taste some of the local varieties in a very warm, sunny region. The wine, and being quite high there as well, up in the mountains, it does have a very different style, different characteristics to what you find in the rest of Argentina. Who are particularly interested in wine, it's certainly worth seeking out some wine. Also up here close to Purmamarca, that you can see a thing called the Hill of Seven Colors, and this is just outside the town of Purmamarca. Really incredible, almost very difficult to describe, sort of hill striped with different colors from different minerals, where you have through the rock formations, and so that's also one of the particularly. It looks like Federico is back on, so we're going to try and go back to Federico.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. I'm afraid it's not working to connect with Federico, sadly.
Here he is.
Here he is. Okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah. You tell me?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. This all. Hi, hello? Hello?
Head.
Ah, okay, okay, sorry. This is in the middle of the main square in Salta, sorry.
Don't worry.
That is Buenos Aires, like another country. And one of the more important tradition is the folklore music, yeah? Look at, every day I see people dancing in the middle of the street, yeah? Yeah. This is a typical gaucho. The people, yeah? To Bolivia, to Andina influence, yeah? It's the local guy. And this is a gaucho. And look at that. Now it's the more important building in Salta. This is a cathedral. This is a colonial style, yeah? And every year in September, we have the traditional festivity of Virgen of the Ciro de Malacre. Yeah, hi, it's a tourist from Buenos Aires, 90%. Hi, hello, hola. Yeah, that is a cathedral, and this is the traditional festivity every year in September. Here, we have the procession of the Ciro of the Milagro and the Virgin. There's 1 million person come to visit the cathedral, yeah? And that is the colonial style, and this is a modern style in the same place, yeah? In the plaza. And also, this is a Barroco. And this is a museum of one of the more important museums in Argentina is the MAM. It's a museum of the highest mummies. yeah, high mountains. You have the veneration of Pachamama or the Mother Earth. You have 3 children, 3 mommy children frozen in this museum, okay? You need the reservation previous because every day it's full, yeah? And look at that, that's the weather in Salta and people enjoy the tourists, okay? This is a museum of the mom. It's 3 children, okay? This is one of the best museums in Argentina. Okay, now we go. Salta is tradition. It's a cultural life, yeah? And it's good people. The food, music, and handicraft. Salta is friendly, yeah? It's a normal is some of gauchos, yeah? An open countryside. It's not for the tradition, for history, hospitality of these people. Something with every people to share the lifestyle. The art, so this is the art culture, yes. It's Centro Cultural Las Américas, yes. Cultural Center of America, yeah. This is a colonial style, also an Spanish construction. It's in the middle of the city, yeah. And now it's the square. We come in. This another. I had delay for another person's come. This is a cabildo. This is a sitting council, yeah. You know when you say what Salta preserve the colonial style because they have balcons, Spanish balcon, and city council. And this is the founder of Salta, it's Hernando de Lerma, yeah. And this is a pedestrian street in Salta. Tourists. They open now. The president say 15th of October. They back the tourists from Chile. It's the pedestrian street. Yeah. Popular areas to visit is, for example, Cafayate and the Calafate Valles in Cachi. Cafayate, it's a road to Cafayate. It's a particular geography that has been carved by wind and some surprise rock formation, yeah? It's indoors and multicolor mountain surprise. The travels and these of, for example, Garganta del Diablo, the amphitheater, and the castles. And it's only 200 kilometers far away from Salta, yeah? Also Cachi, spread by concept mountain by places in the Calchaquí River. Look at that. This is more typical guys to dancer, yeah? Look at that. In every corner in Salta, in the colonial area, yeah, you have guys like dancer, yeah? It's not tango, it's folklore music, yeah? And also Salta, it's a crazy time because now at 1 o'clock, 1:30 is the siesta time. People go to houses to eat and back to work. That is a Calle La Florida also, yeah. It's a colonial buildings like a museo de Casa Rangel, yeah, very colonial style, like Spanish, because the Spanish conquistador here stayed in the 16th centuries to 18th centuries. They had many influence in the food, and the people, and also in the flowers and springtime, yeah. Salta. This now they're going to come to visit the market. This is the traditional market. This is Jasmine, yes? This is Jasmine. The traditional market in Salta. It's very interesting because you see the two cultures together. The Andina culture and the Spanish culture and the Salta culture. This is flags from Salta, yeah? This is black and red and Argentina flower. And the typical gaucho from the area and the hero from this area is a Güemes. Güemes is a gaucho. And the people have many dress shop and they have a gaucho dress, yeah? Gaucho shop. You say, for example, La Gauchada, yeah? You know? La Gauchada, yeah? Have lots of gauchos. Everything for gauchos come from the different parts of Salta to come here. And it's closed now because Salta, they close at 1 o'clock to 4:30 for the siesta time, yeah? Now it's time for local people also. Hi. And I go to visit the market to see maybe the empanada, the typical food from Salta. And also another area for visit is the more famous train to cloud. No, the train to cloud is the train to go to 4,000 meters from Salta to San Antonio Los Cobres, yeah? It's the more amazing train in the world, which take the cloud at the 4,200 meters. And it's 200 kilometers on the under landscape. And yet it has 29 bridge, 29 bridge, 21 tunnel, 13 viaducts. It is the area of market. Now you have like two Saltas in the same place. One Salta is in the plaza, and another, you have the typical market. We have many products from Peru and Bolivia here also. This is a quinoa. We have many regional quinoa, not any quinoa. No, the Inca food. This is spices. The paprika is they make a pimenton of paprika. They have strawberries, orange, any fruit and vegetables come from the north of Salta. The area is really humid area because in Salta you have totally different area. The Puna area and the landscape totally different. You got flowers, fruit, vegetables. Yeah. Okay. This is Andina potatoes. They have 600 different species of potatoes in this area. It's a blue potato, red potatoes. Yeah, it's a avocado. Hi, hello. Huh? Oh, also we have the meat here for chicken, steak sauces, aubergine. Okay. As every day here, people come to eat, but this is 100% is local people from Salta. Yeah? They have a food like a empanada, tamale, and humitas. Humitas is the corn, basilic, and goat cheese. And you know, Salta people, they use the coca leaves. This is the coca for the altitude. No? ¿A cuánto está la coca? It's 100 pesos the one pack of coca leaves. And here, you know, it's legal in Argentina, half a kilogram per person. So this is a tamale food. Tamale. It's a pizza, you know, traditional. But you know, it's the two cultures in the same place. in Salta. It's a gaucho stores. It's a poncho from gauchos. Yeah. Let's go. Okay. Charqui is a food from meat dried to salt. That's it. One, yeah. Low. And finish here, maybe in the gauchos, another gaucho store. They had the ponchos. So the different culture, they had a different color of the ponchos. And you know, the music is folklore music, 100%. Nah, it's only 3 blocks far away from the main square, and it's total different culture and activities. Yeah, the Salta. Okay, Morena, Salta y una empanada. Okay. Okay, we stop here. I say bye-bye, Nick. Thank you. I take the Salta beer because it has a total Salta, and 1 empanada because it's the typical food from Salta. Yeah, and I wait for you. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Federico. Very well
See
earned
you.
snack. Very well earned snack and refreshment. Amazing to see there. Salta beer, traditional and from its home in Salta. Amazing to see there the sort of the life on the street and the folkloric dancing all around there. It's very traditional of for Salta. It's not by any means a touristic thing. It's what people do there to express their life and culture on a day-to-day basis. And so just like you can go and see a show, like I mentioned before, you can also see that on the street. So gaucho culture alive and well in Salta today, under the wonderful blue skies of the desert. We have to move on, and the next destination in our journey around Argentina is Mendoza. Mendoza, as you can see here on the map, is further south from Salta. We're still on the edge of the Andes Mountains, so right in the west of the country, but more in the temperate region here, more or less on a par with Buenos Aires. Mendoza, as you may well know, is the wine capital of Argentina, surrounded by vineyards that we'll see in a moment. The city itself is quite charming, with wonderful sort of stone buildings, lots of tree-lined streets, wonderful squares like this one with fountains and monuments and things like this. It's a very laid-back city, lovely place to go to sort of have a little bit of a relaxing time. You're away from the bigger, more lively cities like Buenos Aires or Salta for that matter, but then and there are lovely green spaces as well. Excellent parks, a lovely big park to the west of the city, just right at the foot of the mountains, as well as the lovely squares in the city itself. Again, with very European style, sort of classical architecture and monuments like this. But then really the main event, the reason for going to Mendoza is to get out of the city and go to one of the many vineyards that are around. Argentina, as has already been mentioned by some of our guides, is famous for Malbec, that you can see is planted here. This is a vineyard of a producer called Zuccardi, the Familia Zuccardi family. From downtown Mendoza. And the reason for going to a vineyard is to be able to see, like you can see here, the vines as they're grown, understand how the wine is made, perhaps see the barrels or perhaps some of the bottling process as it happens. Wine, of course, is best appreciated with food, and many of the vineyards have excellent restaurants as well, where you can, they have menus that are specifically designed to pair with the different wines, and so they complement each other. One of the most sophisticated things I think in cuisine is to sort of be able to pair wine particularly well with food. And you'll find that the different vineyards around Mendoza have different philosophies, different ways of making the wines, and a relatively different end result as well. So it is worthwhile going and visiting a number to be able to compare and contrast and enjoy the wonderful scenery. Not only are there wines, but you are also at the foot of the mountains, and there are lots of outdoor activities to do, such as cycling. This is a trio of gauchos, country people, that I just happened to see out riding their horses. So this sort of agrarian society, the farming traditions are still very much alive and well there in the area around Mendoza. And of course, you've got the mountains, wonderful snow-capped mountains that you can see from many parts of the region. Not so much from the city itself, but as soon as you get out and at a vineyard like you can see here, it's not uncommon to see the vines being held up by these little poles, and then the majestic mountains in the distance. There are a number of excellent hotels, both in the city and outside. The more characterful hotels do tend to be out in the countryside where the wine itself is being grown. One of our favourites is the Finca Adalgisa, which is about half an hour away from the city centre of Mendoza, in sort of on the edge of a small village. So it's not totally open countryside. You do have houses and other things around, the advantage of which is that within 15-20 minutes walking distance you have a number of excellent restaurants, so you're not totally isolated and away from civilization, but you are outside of the city and can take the benefit of being in the countryside. They make their own wines here from a relatively small plot, only a couple of acres of vines, but they have excellent wines. They do barbecues there several times a week, so you can eat there as well as going out to the local restaurants, and a handful of rooms that are designed in this very sort of traditional, again quite sophisticated and old-fashioned European style. On the more luxurious and perhaps opulent end of the spectrum, you've got the Cavas Wine Hotel. That's also a Relais Chateau property. Wonderful, luxurious accommodation here, rooms, many of which are in little bungalow accommodation set out among the vines, so you're surrounded by much more open countryside here with views on and over the vines and directly to the mountains beyond. The main house, as you can see here, has an excellent restaurant and an excellent spa as well. We're going to go live now to Kevin, who is a local guide in Mendoza, and he's going to show us a little bit more of the city centre there, the wonderful streets and squares, as I mentioned, and some of the things that you can see and do when you're in the city centre. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Doing very well.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, hello. How are you? I'm from Mendoza. So you have an idea, Mendoza is located on the west of Argentina, in the middle. And I'm right now, I'm in the Independence Square. It's a very nice starting point to start your journey here in Mendoza. Now I'm gonna turn back my camera so you can see a little bit where I am, so we can start. I'm here on Independence Square. It's one of the principal squares of Mendoza. Here in Mendoza, you're going to be able to see squares in downtown of Mendoza. There are 5 principal squares. This one is the main one. It's Independence Square. Then you have other types of squares. But I'm not gonna stay here, but I'm gonna walk some blocks so you can have a view of the city. I'm gonna see if we can get inside a Park Hyatt hotel. As you can see, it's one of the 5-star hotels here in Mendoza. Yes. Now it's a long weekend here in the city, so you're gonna see a lot of movement here in Mendoza. I'm putting my mask on so we can get inside the hotel. Here, just in front, you're gonna see the city tours that you can it's very nice, the city tour, because you can do a hop in, hop off tours here in the city. And this is Park Hyatt Hotel. It's in the middle of the city. It's hotels that have, because as you can see, it was the Plaza Hotel, and they stayed with the same structure as in the front of the hotel. Let's see if we can enter and have a view inside. You're gonna see some tourists having some lunch. So life is back in Mendoza. Eh? It's a very good option. So to start your tour here, as you were saying, Nick, there's also some nice hotels that you can stay in on.
Kevin, we might be losing
You can stay at a hotel in town like Park Hyatt or some other hotels, or you can also stay on wineries. And most of people that visit Mendoza hotel and some other nights. As you can see, the hotel has the antique structure, and then where the rooms are, it's a little bit more modern. Sarmiento Street. There's not so much movement here because it's a long weekend, but now a block ahead, we're gonna start seeing some more persons. We're gonna see if we can stop in a wine shop. Mendoza represents by excellence wine and tourism. Here, as Nick was telling you, the wine and the barbecue, it's for excellence. You don't actually need to go to a winery if you're staying here on the city, because there's a lot of wine shops where you can do some tastings. We're gonna cross the street so we can go to a restaurant. If you go from this street to the west, you're gonna be able to see a very long park that we have in Mendoza, that it's called the lawn of Mendoza because of all the trees that has. But this is Mendoza. Mendoza, it's you're gonna see some calm streets. There's a lot of restaurants. We're gonna walk a block from here. Hit a wine shop that's called Soli Vino. In this wine shop, you're gonna be able to see this is one very good grill that's called La Lucia. It's one of the principal ones here in Mendoza, yes. So you can have an idea, Mendoza, it's one of the main producer of wine. Here they make some barbecue. You have the chefs. There's a lot of movement because as I already told you, this is a long weekend. This is one of the main stores here in Mendoza of wine. Here you can have all types of wine, not only Malbec. There's a lot of other varieties that you can have here in Mendoza. Red wine like Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and you also have some white wines, some sparkling wines. Here you can see some Sauvignon Blanc of Penedo Borges. This is a winery that is located in Luján. It's very nice. We're gonna keep on walking, and here you have one of the best sparkling wineries. It's Cruzat. They have different varieties. So if you don't like red wine, you also have the option of having some wine or some sparkling wine. Yes. We're gonna keep on going. This tour is very nice because you also can have something like this map. You can buy different maps, and you can have bottles also. Yes. And we're gonna keep on walking and showing you the city. So you have an idea. The Mendoza is the main producer and exporter in wine in Argentina. It's one of the greatest world wine capitals. Yes. And with more of 800 wineries, is the most important city of Argentina. It's the most important wine city of Argentina. And this is a city that it's actually, you're gonna see a city with a lot of trees, but it's this city, it's actually a desert. But we have some canals that you're gonna see in the city, that you have to be very careful if you're a tourist, because this is something that you're not gonna see in so much cities. Yes, there are these canals that go all around the streets. Here you can see another hotel. This is a very touristic part of the city. Yes, you're gonna be able to see a lot of tourists in the hotels, and we're gonna keep on walking. This canal system dates from pre-Columbian time, so you have an idea. This canal systems distributes water from the melting snow, and they distribute from here. Mendoza distributes the water from the melting snow to the vineyards and also to the city. Yes, there's life is back here in Mendoza. You're gonna see there's another hotel with some tourists. We have some other buses, and in all the city you're gonna be able to see a lot of wine bars, little coffees, and as you can see, we now walked only 2 blocks, and we're 1 block ahead, and we're gonna be on another square. And they do have a lot of green spaces here in Mendoza. Another bar. You can see that in the wine bars, there's a lot of, in the different bars, there's always a lot of wine, because this is a very touristic place. In this one, you can have some typical Argentinian stuff. And we're gonna keep on walking. We're 1 block ahead from Italian Square. Tourists pick Mendoza for many reasons. Here in Mendoza, you have more than 320 days with sun. You have blue sky all year, and the highest mount you always have here in Mendoza. Not all is wine. You have also different things that you can do here in the state, in the province. We have the highest mountain in America. We have also very recognized wineries. And if you're like more adventurous, you can do some adventure tourism, like you can do some trekking, and you also there's also different ways that you can visit wineries, like in bike. maybe like in a balloon, a flying balloon. And here 2-3 blocks away, we're in another square. This square is Italia, Plaza Italia. This is we're not gonna see so much people here, but it's a very nice square. This is one of the 4 squares that surrounds Independencia Square. Yes. Day tours to the different regions, wine regions that we have here in the province. Here, so you have an idea, there are 3 different wine regions. One of the principal, the 3 wine regions that we have are Maipú, that's 15 or 10 kilometers from downtown. You can also, another near region that we have, wine region, it's Luján, that's 18 kilometers. And then you have a more modern region that's called Uco Valley. It's a very, very nice region to visit. It's a little bit more farther from the downtown. You're gonna have like 1 hour ahead from downtown. Well, as you can see, Mendoza has life back. Today, there's all people that you've seen are mostly tourists. And we're gonna keep on walking so you can keep on seeing the square. And we're gonna go across the street. There's a very nice restaurant that's called Fuente Fonda. This is a very famous restaurant here in Mendoza, very touristic restaurant in Mendoza, because they serve very typical and
I think we might be losing
here on the,
Kevin there.
do you hear me?
We lost you for a second.
Now I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're here we're crossing the street, and we're gonna see here Fuente Fonda. This is a very nice restaurant. I'm gonna see if I can come. There's a lot of people. I'm not gonna get in the restaurant, but it's a very nice restaurant, very typical restaurant of Europe.
Kevin, we're losing the connection a little bit, and I think we need to finish up there. So thanks very much for showing us the streets and the local life in Mendoza. Really good to see everything that's going on there, the wonderful cafes and bars and restaurants and the wine shops as well. Particularly nice to be able to appreciate all the wide variety. Everyone knows about, or lots of people have heard of Argentine Malbec, but to see the really wide variety of wines that are on offer there, from white wines and also the sparkling wines that you showed us. And that restaurant Fuente Fonda, I remember very fondly myself. I had an excellent meal there, very sort of homely, traditional style. So thanks a lot for that. That was wonderful to see. We're going to move on now. If I share my screen again. Bear with me one moment. The next destination on our tour of Argentina is Bariloche, and this is in the Lake District. Again, a little further south, still on the western side of the country, still on the edge of the Andes Mountains. It's called the Lake District because of its preponderance of lakes, forests, the wonderful mountains in the distance, as you can see there. Incredible picturesque landscape, and it is an absolute haven for outdoor activities, walking, hiking, even mountaineering. You can take boat trips on the lakes, for example, and see waterfalls. A huge amount of outdoor activities. This is really the sort of active person's dream. You can see here, you know, some of the walks that you can take up into the hills and mountains, and with incredible views out over the lakes and the forests. The town itself is surrounded by a national park, Nahuel Huapi National Park, which is named after this enormous lake. And it's not just one sort of lake, but a lake with many arms. So you find islands on it and arms stretching off in different directions and between mountains, and very often with the incredible snow-capped peaks in the background. You can see here some of our clients on a tour to one of the picturesque lookout points, and in the distance there you see one of the hotels, for example, and just marvel at the incredible scenery. You can also walk through the forest and find in many places streams and rivers that run through these ancient forests, and again coming out to places where you might find a little sort of secluded lagoon or even a beach on the edge of the lake. You may be tempted to dip your toes in, but be warned that water is incredibly cold because, of course, it's fed by the snow and ice melt that comes down. So only for the bravest who want to stick a toe or perhaps get into the lake entirely. But not only do you have that very sort of alpine feel around Bariloche, but further to the east, as you move further away from the mountains, you have a drier region. It gets drier and a little bit more arid towards the Pampa, and that's one of the very special things about Bariloche and its surrounding region, is its variety of climates and therefore landscapes. Near the mountains they have a lot more rain as it comes off the Pacific and sort of accumulates over the Andes, and there you have a wet forest where it's very humid and foggy often, and then further out to the east, as you get further away from the mountains, you get much drier regions like this. So there is a true variety there. You can see here just how dry it can get a little bit further from the lake. Here, for example, are some of the trails that you walk on through the forest. These incredible sort of very knobbly arayan trees, these ancient trees that are endemic to the area. And again, wonderful sort of streams and rivers running through the forest, and even waterfalls that you find in certain places. Very sort of raw and picturesque nature throughout. There is quite a lot of wildlife in the region, although they are very sort of very often hidden within the forest, so you won't necessarily see that much of it. But here's the Andean fox and the steamer ducks. There is a small population of river otters in the rivers and lakes as well around there. And here you can see some of our past clients enjoying a little snack, some biscuits and traditional Argentine tea called mate, resting on a rock overlooking the lake and enjoying the picturesque views. Being very close to the border with Chile, it's also possible to journey up and over the mountains and finish in Chile on the other side. And this map shows the route of a full day trip that you can take, which alternates going by bus and then boat a number of different times, crossing the lakes, crossing the border here at the top, going through the mountains and crossing more lakes again, incredibly scenic journey, and finishing in the small lakeside town of Puerto Varas on the Chilean side. And this is an incredible way, one of the best ways to link up Chile with Argentina, because it's such a picturesque full-day journey. You take the boat on a small, comfortable boat like this, passing by snow-capped mountains and volcanoes. These incredible mountain lakes, as you can see here, makes for a wonderful day trip. Your luggage all looked after and delivered along with you to your hotel in Puerto Varas at the other end. There are a number of excellent hotels, sort of Alpine-style hotels, some of which are very sophisticated as well. Las Balsas is in Villa La Angostura, which is actually a small town on the opposite side of the lake, the opposite shore from Bariloche. This is a small boutique hotel, again, one of the Relais Chateau collection, so very high standard of accommodation, service and cuisine there, with a wonderful little swimming pool and a little beach on the edge of the lake. And you also have the Zhao Zhao Hotel, which is just outside the town of Bariloche. This is an incredibly sort of Swiss-style hotel. You can see its magnificent setting here, with the mountains in the distance, the lake and the forest surrounding. Very European style, quite a large hotel, and set on its own sort of promontory that sticks out into the lake. And in fact, it has its own golf course as well for people who are keen golfers. And views from many of the rooms would look out over the lakes and the mountains as well. Our local guide in Bariloche is Gabby. You can see some pictures of her here in action, dipping her toes in the lake and even river rafting as well. And we've been working with Gabby for many years. She knows the area inside out and is the perfect person to guide you around all of the different national parks and mountains, forests of the area around Bariloche. And we're going to hear from her now live from downtown Bariloche to see a little bit of what's going on there. Hello, Gabby.
Hello, Nick. Thank you. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well? Okay, excellent. I'm at Bariloche. Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Gabriela from, as Nick said, Bariloche. It's a very beautiful spring day, beautiful blue skies, a lot of sunshine. Everything is in bloom. It's a beautiful spring. Right now, I'm standing in the main commercial street, as you can see a little bit. Yeah, it's a very beautiful street, full of stores, restaurants, shops, galleries, malls. As you can see, it's very busy today. This is one of my favorite chocolate stores. Unfortunately, you cannot smell because the smell is delicious. I had just had a hot chocolate, but there you can see the amazing bonbons and everything that they process here in Bariloche. Of course, the raw materials, the cocoa beans are imported from Central America, mostly Ecuador, and also from Africa. But then they process them here in a special way, using a lot of our native blueberries. We have a lot of indigenous blueberries, maqui, calafate, which also many liqueurs. So there's a very unique, a very creative way of processing the chocolates. Of course, it was introduced by all the pioneers that came in the past. They came from Italy, Switzerland, France, and everybody brought with them their own unique recipe. And so the idea is to walk 2 blocks, as you can see. There you can see a bus, a tour bus, along this main commercial street. There you can also see the lake, Guapi, the biggest lake in our lake district, and all the cable cars to all these tourist attractions. Perhaps in the back, maybe you can see a little bit of the mountains. There's no big mountains, snow-capped mountains. Bariloche is a very famous ski resort in the winter. It's a very, one of the most important in South America. So we have all sorts of tourism that comes to ski. Very busy. It's a very beautiful day. And today there's a special celebration in our main square. My idea is to walk towards our main, what we call the civic center, our main square. And it's Bariloche la Carta, which is where all the local chefs exhibit their best dishes. So it's very tempting to see. And also all sorts of different breweries. We are very famous for our breweries besides the chocolate. Chocolates, there are many shops. This is a National Bank there. Sorry, turn around. See Aerolíneas Argentinas, a National Bank. See the city. And the chocolate is a very serious business, I tell you here. All these people that come to visit Bariloche, they need to return back to their houses with chocolates. Otherwise, they wouldn't let them inside their houses. They wouldn't accept them. They wouldn't take them back. They can see different alfajores. We also process our chocolate with, dulce de leche, which is we have a very sweet tooth. It's like a sort of caramel. And also they mix it with beer, all sorts of things. You can see the stores that sell a lot of outdoor, gear for the mountains. The mountains are also a main attraction, not just in winter time, but in the springtime right now. And in the summer, a lot of people come here to trek. And you can spend many days connecting different mountains. Different mountain houses, an interesting network where you can see lakes, waterfalls, rivers, mountains, and the vegetation is something to see, and to smell the very fresh oxygen. You can see again the lake. So we're very close to the lake. The reason why this main street is here, Mitre, it's because it's very sheltered from the wind. We are famous for a Patagonian wind, but today it's a unique Tino's Cafe, where they sell excellent, delicious food and also alfajores, typical dishes here, or empanadas, another traditional recipe, besides the Patagonian lamb. So this area, once upon a time there were, this is an isolated, remote area full of natural wonders where indigenous tribes used to live here. But then, towards the end of the 1800s, the first pioneers arrived. So can you hear me properly? There's a lot of noise outside. Yes?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, yes. So they came from all sorts of different backgrounds, from France, Switzerland, Germany. Actually, the name of this town is called San Carlos de Bariloche in honor of Carlos Wiederhold. He used to have a general store. It was more, I consider, like a meeting area, gathering place. And once he received a letter from a friend of his, he was happened to be learning Spanish by that time. His name was Henry Neal. He came originally from Scotland, and he made a mistake. Instead of calling him Don Carlos, which is Mr., the equivalent to Mr. Carlos, he put San Carlos. Carlos couldn't believe he was considered a saint. So then he changed the name of his store to San Carlos. And that's why we are famous as San Carlos de Bariloche in honor of him. And I'm telling you about this story because right there was a place where everything started, towards the end of the 1800s. And now we have evolved and prospered. And as Nick said, there are many different hotels, bed and breakfast, lodges where you can stay. There's a lot of movement due to this special event. And every year we have festivities where every traditional ethnic group celebrates a little bit about the origins, the roots, There are celebrations. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this.
We've lost your sound a little bit.
A lot of people, and there you can see all the breweries, spots. The amount of people here is incredible. This is our main square, the central hall. Then we have the police station, the county hall, the tourist office also, the library, the theater. You can see all the rock arches, beautiful. And usually these tents are not here, but because we have this special event going on, so there's a special celebration, festivity. All the traditions, different roots, different ethnic backgrounds celebrate on the 12th of October. That's why it's a holiday as well here. And it's so very busy. It's usually busy in spring, in the winter. Every season is unique here. And people come a lot to ski, for fishing reasons. They can see our biggest lake, Nahuel Huapi, all the breweries. There are people from all over different areas that come to visit us. So as you can see, it's very, very busy. Clock.
Thank you, Gabi. Very nice to see the sunshine here in Bariloche.
Yeah,
Very
beautiful
nice.
day in Bariloche. So come over. We're waiting for you. We're expecting everyone to visit us. With open arms.
It's lovely to
Very
see
happy to welcome
Bariloche.
you.
Lovely to see
Yeah, you have to try
Bariloche
it.
thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holiday.
Very nice to see you. We'll come again and again whenever we can. And so we're very happy to see Gabi. Thank you very much for
Hey, you're welcome.
this area of Bariloche is wonderful. As Nick was saying, the variety of landscapes is wonderful. And Gabi is a wonderful guide. She organizes picnics in the countryside, and she's a wonderful guide in Veloso Tours guide in Bariloche. So from Bariloche, we are going south to go to the area of Calafate. So this is now sharing my screen. I can. This is Gabi. She's been to London. She's even stayed in my house with the children. She's a wonderful representative of Veloso Tours. So from here, it's there's a direct flight to Calafate. You can be before or after in whatever direction. And this is now the region of the glaciers. Now we're going to the southern tip of Chile and Argentina, of South America, and the area with a more arid landscape, more windswept, snow-covered peaks and lakes and glaciers. This is the landscape. Now, this area of Perito Moreno Glacier is absolutely fascinating because you have this glacier running through this valley between two mountains and reaching a lake, but it's a long, narrow lake so that the glacier reaches the opposite bank. As you can see here, it's almost like a theater. You can see the glacier head on from land, which is quite unusual, and really allows you to appreciate the rugged surface of a glacier, the huge expanse of ice, and also the fact that this glacier is actually living, it's actually moving, and if you spend a day there, you hear bits of ice fall off, and the sound echoes through the opposite bank, and it's a wonderful experience whereby it seems that it's static, but it's a living organism, this glacier, and it's a wonderful day to spend watching. There's actually a cafe and restaurant there, so you'd spend a bit of time a day coming to see the Perito Moreno Glacier. There's a boat trip you can take. You can also we can also organize some trekking on the ice. It's actually fairly expensive, but you need some specialized equipment, but it's also a possibility that you may consider. There's some very nice hotels there as well, very warm and cozy in what is actually a fairly windswept region, as I mentioned. And this is in Calafate itself. It's a small town, a small village, so that you go out for the day, come back, and then you can stay in the hotel or go for a walk or go to some other restaurants. There's nothing much special about this town other than being a base to see the Perito Moreno Glacier and the other glaciers, Uppsala, and there's a boat trip on we call Rivers of Ice that you can take in a different part of this network of lakes and glaciers. So that's another option. Now, from there, you can cross to Chile to go to Torres del Paine, but you can also go further south to Ushuaia. And Ushuaia has a wonderful setting here with mountains, and it's actually a point from which many cruises depart to go to Antarctica and to go over to Chile. So we're going to see there the southernmost town in South America. This area is more or less the same latitude south as London is north. But of course, the climate is completely different, because here you have this interaction of the Atlantic and the Pacific and Antarctica. So it's very windswept. The most sort of characteristic feature of the weather there is the wind. And here is the landscape around Ushuaia. You can go to the La Pataya National Park for walks. There's a very cozy and comfortable hotels with heated pools, so you can actually stay in Ushuaia very comfortably. This is the kind of landscape there, and the treks that you can do in the mountains behind Ushuaia. And this is the kind of village life. And as Gabi was saying, lamb, cordero, is the main diet there, main attraction in terms of cuisine. And here we have an example of a little train that you can also take there. It's a landscape outside Ushuaia. So that's another interesting, yes. This is one of the cozy hotels that I was talking about, where you have jacuzzi and cozy rooms and treks and skiing. This is another one. You can see how wonderful this is. Lots of light, lots of glass, lots of sort of being close to nature and being close to the landscape. The other option here, as I mentioned, is to cross over from Ushuaia into Chile. This is an area that reaches a myriad of islands and channels that are not accessible by land. And these are, oops, sorry. I don't know what I did here. Yeah, sorry. This is the map that I was looking for, where you can see here how Ushuaia takes you to Cape Horn out of the southernmost island, and then it travels through the Straits of Magellan and the Beagle Channel here, where you have a number of glaciers. They're a very comfortable ship, as you can see there. This is the landscape. Wonderful experience to cross over. This is some pictures that I took at Cape Horn on a unusually calm, sunny day. I must say that this was very lucky. You wouldn't necessarily expect it to be like this. Many times the boat can't even get close. It's not possible to land. But if you can, then this is the landscape right down in the south. And that trip is a 4-night cruise, so not too long. And it's definitely one of the highlights of South America. From underneath the glacier into the lake. North, now going back north towards Buenos Aires, you have the area Peninsula Valdes. Now, Peninsula Valdes is a wonderful location, as you can see there, where there's lots of wildlife, particularly from September through to March. They come there to have their young, so the summer time, and this is the way, the sort of shape of it, where you can board boats in Puerto Piramides to see whales breaching. This is the variety of landscape of wildlife. Lots of sea lions, elephants, seals, penguins, and whales, as I mentioned. a wonderful trip. Now, this is very unlikely. I must say that this picture is more of an example than an expectation of being able to see an orca get close to the beach. But one thing you can see is lots of elephant seals, and you can just wait there, and they are on the beach, and you wait for something to develop. Various things happen, and here the penguins come on to land as well. Further north from on the border from Iguazu and from Buenos Aires on the border with Brazil, you have the magnificent Iguazu Falls. And this is also a very unique spectacle where you are right up there in the north. And from there, you can actually also enter Brazil to go on to Rio. Then on a bend of the river, you can see here how the waterfalls swing out as the river swings. They created not just one waterfall, but many waterfalls with islands and some boat trips that you can take on the Brazilian side and on the Argentinian side. So essentially most of the walks are on the Argentinian side. You can see here there's a walk that we're going to see, the upper trail. There's another walk here where there's a railway to take part of the trip to what they call Devil's Throat, which is the deepest point. And then there's another walk close to the water here, the lower trail, as you can see there. So at least a day, 2 days to do all these trails at Iguazu. This is some of the landscape from the lower trail. You can see you can be quite close to the water. And here is the deep, there's some walkways to go into the deepest part of the falls. And you have some boat trips here, as you can see there. Wonderful experience to see the waterfalls. And there's some wildlife because it's a reserve and protected area. A lot of the wildlife find refuge in this national park. You have some hotels. This is the one on the Brazilian side, the Hotel das Cataratas, very close to the falls. And on the Argentinian side, the only hotel within the national park is the Grand Milia Iguazu. As you can see here, wonderful view, nice swimming pool, and wonderful day trips for walks into the forest. And now I would like to ask our guide, Rodrigo, who is an expert in this area. And you can see here he's traveled a lot, and he's been guiding at Iguazu for a long time. So Rodrigo, can you show us Iguazu as it is today, please?
How are you? Can you hear me?
We can, yes, go ahead.
Okay, how are you? Welcome to Iguazu. Here I am in the middle of the forest and in the Iguazu National Park, very close to the falls. This is an area in the jungle border between Argentina and Brazil. So the waterfalls are in the river that is the international border, and we can see the falls from both sides. Now I am on the Argentinian side in the upper trail. The bridge to cross to Brazil has been reopened a couple of days ago. So in a short time, we will be able to go again and visit the falls from Brazil. Oh, a couple of mosquitoes around my head. So we are with a lot of water now. It's been raining, beautiful. The color of the water changes when it rains. It gets a little browner. I'm going to show you the two little waterfalls called Two Sisters, Dos Hermanas, and then we're gonna start the walk, all right? Okay, see, Dos Hermanas, Two Sisters, beautiful waterfalls, very similar to each other. You can see people walking down there on bottom. That is the one that we call the lower trail. And the two falls, they make a natural pool on bottom that used to be a swimming area in the past. Now it's too crowded, too busy, so it's not open anymore. But when I was a little kid, I used to come here and swim with my friends until 1998. So the park now is totally open. All the trails are open. People is not necessary to wear mask anymore. I'm going to show you a little bit of the jungle. Subtropical Atlantic rainforest. That is the name. It's called like that because it rains all the time around here a lot. That's important to keep the forest green and to keep the water in the river. The river depends only on the water. If you can see over there on top of the hill, there's a hotel. It's a Belmont Hotel, the one in the Brazilian side of the national park. And also in that area is where they begin the walk. There are 3 walks on the Argentinian side, and there is one in Brazil. In Argentina, we see the falls very close from top, middle, bottom, but we see it little by little. In Brazil, you see it from far, but you see it in a panoramic way. So we can say that they complement each other. There's no one side better than the other. That's the opinion of a very humble Argentinian. There's very few of us. Good. We're gonna walk. You can see the trails are totally flat, easy to be made with a wheelchair, with a baby stroller. The Devil's Throat and the upper trail are like this, totally flat, no steps. The lower trail has a couple of ramps, a couple of steps, medium difficulty. And then for people that want to do some more, we have the boat ride that takes you under the fold. It's called the Great Adventure. Safari in the jungle with a truck. And then there's a boat, Zodiac, that takes you nearby the folds. And then under the folds. So I'm going to show you now a little bit of the waterfalls. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Okay, there we go. These are the smaller waterfalls. We came here to this area because if we go to the big one, the Devil's Throat, the sound is so powerful that I wouldn't be able to be talking to you. You could not hear me well. That's why we come to this. Look at this. People taking pictures. Now at this time of the day, the balcony is not so busy because it's lunchtime here. So most of the groups, they start their walk in the morning to enjoy the day. And then they for this time of the day, they are having lunch to keep going later and do some more of the walks. If you start early in the morning, you can do the walks on the Argentinian side in one day. If you don't want to wake up early, you want to have breakfast and start later, then you could do it in 2 days. There's more people arriving here now. So this upper trail and the lower trail, you can walk from the Vista Center to the trail, but Devil's Throat is far away. And to get there, we have a tour in a transportation that is a little train. Beautiful. We call it the green train because it's electric. It doesn't pollute so much. We'll take the train, the top of the river, through the islands. To get to a balcony 1 meter close on top of the big Devil's Throat, where all the water splashes down and hits the rocks. Some of the water becomes a spray, spray goes up, and depending on the wind direction, the spray might come to the balcony and give you a little refreshing shower. Here in Iguazu is warm most of the year. Only in July, August, we have a little bit of cold weather, but basically at night. During the day, even in winter, we have a very nice weather and very humid. Okay, this one more balcony. We were seeing half of the height of the falls, and in this balcony, we can see all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Down there is where the boats run to go on the falls into the spray and make you soaking wet. It's very nice. And the falls you see behind the trees in that area are part of the falls in Brazil. We have from the beginning to the end 2,700 meters, 1 mile and 3/4 of waterfalls. The number of different cascades changes with the volume of the river, but if you read the books, they say 275 different cascades. This number changes depending on how high is the river, and the river depends on the rain. The rain is supposed to be all year round here, but sometimes we have more rain. Like now, the water now has more than the average volume. That is 1.5 million liters per second. And sometimes we don't have rain for a lot of time, and the waterfalls can be a little smaller. But all the ways that we see is beautiful. Let's get closer a little bit. There we go. These are the widest waterfalls in the world, with the biggest number of cascades, and not the biggest in all measures. Niagara Falls, for example, has more water than Iguazu, and Victoria Falls in Africa is higher than Iguazu. But these falls were elected in a worldwide election, like one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. See down there, lower trail, the balcony, with a view of this Rossetti waterfall. See, very pretty. And the surrounding landscape, the Iguazu National Park, with this big diversity of life, including jaguars, tapir, deer, wild boars, anteaters, armadillos, fox, a lot of birds, hummingbirds, toucans. We just saw a toucan flying a couple of minutes ago. Was declared by UNESCO as a World Natural Heritage Site. So this is a beautiful place, but it's also an important place for all humanity. We are slowly coming back to normal. By now, so far, is open only for Argentinian people that is coming, but they are just about to reopen for everybody. Now they say 19th of October. It's going to be open to receive everybody again. This was one of the most visited places by foreigners in Argentina in 2019. We arrived 1.6 million visitors a year. We broke a record. In 2020, we were expecting to have 2 million visitors, and then the pandemic came, and well, you know what happened. So, but now we are ready, waiting for you. And well, if you have questions to make to me, we can talk.
That's fantastic, Rodrigo. Amazing to see obviously the falls there, the extent of the forest, which I'm not sure you appreciate it so much from the still pictures, but certainly seeing the live video from there, you appreciate the extent of the forest and the enormous series of waterfalls there. It's just incredible to see, and obviously also in the flesh in real life as well for anyone who visit. That concludes our tour around Argentina. I noticed actually that Laura in Buenos Aires just had a beautiful view over the city there, so I'm hoping her camera is going to come back on. I'm just going to show you for a second. Hopefully we can put Laura on the main thing. Look at that amazing cityscape over Buenos Aires. Laura, you're still in San Telmo?
Yes, I'm in San Telmo. I'm in my apartment at the balcony.
This is the view from your apartment.
200 meters apart from the market we visit.
Amazing. What a view you have. Another perspective entirely over the city
Yes.
from what you gave us earlier. And so you can see there, is that in the distance, you can see the Rio de la Plata?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we're losing you. The sound has gone, unfortunately. No, unfortunately, Laura's gone there, but we got to see a little bit of a beautiful.
Sorry. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Can you listen to me again? Hi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, here at the distance, well, San Telmo is the neighborhood just next door from the Puerto Madero and the River Plate. So from the distance, you can see the River Plate. And in a sunny day, sometimes you can also see our neighbor city, Uruguay, there, Colonia in Uruguay.
Amazing. Thanks for showing us that. Unfortunately, we've lost your picture now, but it was a wonderful view to see from your balcony there. So thank you for that. That concludes our tour of Argentina. Hope you've all enjoyed it. I'm going to just share my screen.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Laura. I want to briefly highlight the suggested tour itineraries that we have. Hopefully I can share my screen, full screen here. Yeah, here we go. We have a number of suggested tour itineraries that take in Argentina on its own, but also combine it with other countries, as you will see in a moment. Our San Martin tour is a relatively comprehensive tour of Argentina in almost 3 weeks, starting in Buenos Aires and going up to the north to Salta and Iguazu, stopping off in an area that we haven't seen today, the Ibera wetlands, which is particularly good for wildlife and bird watching, and that's not far away from Iguazu in that warm northern area close to the border of Paraguay and Brazil, and then continuing down to the south to the Lake District of Bariloche, Patagonia, and finishing up in Buenos Aires in 3 weeks. Our Pampa tour is slightly more straightforward 2-week tour, starting in Buenos Aires and going up to Iguazu Falls and including Bariloche, El Calafate, we've seen Tierra del Fuego at Ushuaia, and then coming back around to Buenos Aires. Our Quebrada tour is a shorter tour that just includes Mendoza and the north in Salta in about 10 days, with Buenos Aires at the beginning and end. Our Yamana tour, this is gives an idea of how you might connect Argentina with Chile through their shared border down in Patagonia. So starting in Buenos Aires, going to Peninsula Valdes that we saw briefly, down to Ushuaia, and then Calafate to visit the glaciers, but then over to the iconic Torres del Paine National Park in Chile, and then traveling up from there to the Andean Lake District in Chile, and finishing in Santiago de Chile, which is the capital. And our Viracocha tour is a cross-continent tour, starting in Rio and going to Iguazu Falls and into Buenos Aires, before continuing up through Bolivia and Peru, including Lake Titicaca, Cusco, Machu Picchu, and finishing in Lima. On our website, you'll find all of these tours and more. And one of the excellent tools that we've developed to help you plan your trip is a PDF generator, where you can choose from any of the tours that we have, select your preferred departure date using the calendar tool provided, and then click the button here marked Download Itinerary. And this will download directly to your computer an itinerary with pictures and maps and travel highlights that show you exactly what's included, and a starting price, the price from. And this will then give you an overview showing you where you will be on each given date throughout the itinerary. And this will help you start to plan and think about how long you want to spend in each place, how long the trip overall would be, and also what give you an idea of cost. Then if you would like to contact us and receive a full quotation with a guaranteed price, we can price up exactly what you would like to do and give you a guaranteed price for your trip. But we found that this tool on the website is very useful for helping to just start to plan and manage ideas of what you might like to include on your trip to South America. That concludes our webinar on Argentina. We hope you've enjoyed our tour around this enormous and incredibly varied country. I don't know if we have any questions here, or whether any came up in the chat. We obviously had a question earlier that we dealt with in by the messages on the chat function, but I don't know if we have any more questions, Berenice, there?
No, we haven't received any more questions, but as you said, if anyone has any question, I invite you to just email us on travel@veloso.com, or just give us a call. You've got the number on that slide, but so far no question on the chat box.
Okay, well, unless anyone, any of our viewers have any more questions, thank you very much, and we hope to hear from you soon and help you plan your next trip to South America. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you.